HARK, we are here. It is time. Shorter video today, quieter week. Still got a bunch of previews we can showcase to you, including one insanely good leader that I'm very happy and very hyped to be able to build for here in the future once the game releases. But because it was a gap week for streams, we don't have a lot of streams to talk about. Immediately after this video, they're going to have the booster pack stream. So make sure you head over to the FFG live stream. I'll put a link to that below in the description, so that way you can check out what the contents of a booster pack might end up being. But we got some previews, we got some fun stuff. There's all kinds of different things that are going to be available for Star Wars Unlimited with these videos. I recorded a bunch of these videos over the weekend, so you'll see my appearance will change a couple of times. And the reason why is because over the weekend, I actually took place in US Nationals for a Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game, which I don't cover on this channel or really talk very much about. Didn't do well, but that's okay. I didn't go 0-6, so I'm happy there. I also recognize that I didn't have a lot of time to record videos, so I tried to record as many as I could beforehand and then a few afterwards, so that way I'd have enough time to edit the video. Because you all need consistency in your life, and my consistency that I can present to you is at least one video a week on Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Central Time. And here we are. So let's get on to the previews. Our first preview comes by way of the FFG, Unlimited FFG Twitter account. And just like last month with Vigilance, this month with Command, we are having 4 cards previewed through the Twitter account and other social medias. You get to vote on which one gets shown first. Our first one we got to see for Command is a base, and it's a very good and very compelling base. And that base is the Energy Conversion Lab. 25 health. It's a Command base. Epic action, play a unit that costs 6 or less from your hand and give it ambush for this phase. It's a rare, it's number 22 out of 252 for SOR. The Vigilance base, the security complex, was a similar design. 25 health, epic action, does something different. The epic action on the Vigilance one was give something a shield, right? For these 2 cards alone, it showcases a dynamic difference between what each aspect is supposed to be able to accomplish, and on top of that, what they want each 25 health base to do. Previous video, I specifically said security complex was not something I felt was worth the 25 point, the 5 point health loss, a 25 health base. Energy Conversion Lab is 100% worth the 5 hit points you lose for giving something with 6 cost or less ambush. You're generally going to be looking to take a 5 or 6 cost card and ambush it into play. Gladiator Star Destroyer is a perfect example of this. Ambush, shoot something, Sentinel, done, right? There are cases to be made for other things. Boba Fett Disintegrator, if something's already on the board and exhausted and you just need to get rid of it. Shoop to whoop and get rid of it. There's a couple of other things you could do with this, but you do generally want to stick with the higher cost ones of 5 and 6 for this specific base. The ability to knock something off the board or get an effect your opponent wasn't expecting to also come with an attack for 5 health is much more impactful on the overall state of the game than just sticking a shield on one card. Because it is only once per game, both of them, you have to measure how important that shield can be across the entire game rather than each specific instance. The same thing here, you have to measure how impactful the ambush on that card can be across the entire scope of the game, not just the single instance of ambushing something in. This base is probably something designed for a mid-ish range build, but if you have something that you think can absolutely net you that extra push into winning the game early, getting that tempo early on, you could spend it on something that's only 2 or 3 cost. So it just depends on what you feel you think you can do with the cards you have on the board, the cards you have in hand, and what the board state is while this base is on your side. I think this is the best one of the 2 that we've seen so far. I think this effect is going to be hard to beat, so it'll be very interesting to see what Aggression does next month and Cunning the month after. But so far, Energy Conversion Lab, it's not an auto play, but it's one of those things of, why shouldn't I play it? And that is probably the better equation of card value for the cards that you're playing. Why shouldn't I play it? Our next card comes by way of the Garbage Rollers YouTube channel and was a creator preview from them. It's a card that I don't think a lot of, but the community does. So let's get right into what it is. And that is the Death Trooper. It's a 3-cost Vigilance Villainy ground unit. It has 3 power, 3 health. It's an Imperial Trooper. When played, deal 2 damage to a friendly ground unit and then 2 damage to an enemy ground unit. It's a common number 33 in SOR. I don't like this card. flat out. I think that by having a self-harm ability on the card, which is the deal 2 damage to a friendly unit, without having something that is comparable or allows you to come ahead with it, it does not hold value to me. The art is fantastic, and that cannot be disputed. This is one of the best art pieces in the entire game. I didn't expect this to be Vigilance. I didn't expect it to be a 3/3, and I didn't expect it to have a self-harm ability on it. There are tempo plays you can make. If you have something on your side of the board that needs to be destroyed, and you have something on your opponent's side of the board that needs to be addressed, a shield, extra damage to a sentinel, ping something off the board, whatever it may be, the Death Trooper holds value there. But that requires 2 other pieces, which includes your opponent feeding into something that you want to do, and that is not a good value play in my opinion. I don't think this is a good card. This is not a card I want to play, but it's probably a card that I'm going to need to play if I'm running any sort of Vigilance villainy decks, because it does set up tempo plays. It does allow you to do the damage and address parts of your opponent's board, but it doesn't require your opponent to address it when it comes down, because a 3/1 is going to be nothing if this is your only unit on the board. If it's not, you have to decide if you're going to deal damage to one of your other pieces on the board, if that's valuable enough. Super Laser Technician and Mahdi are 2 great examples of things you want to damage. Other things like your Sentinel or a shielded unit or your leader, those are examples of things you don't want to deal damage, so the damage is probably going to come at the Death Trooper. A 3-cost 3/1 that deals 2 damage to your opponent's side of the board is not as good as, say, the Death Star Stormtrooper, which is a 1-cost 3/1 that just exists, right? And has to be addressed because it's a 3/1. It's going to attack you on the next round, and it only costs 1 to do so. A 3-cost 3/3 with Sentinel, the cell block card, is something that has to be addressed because it is a Sentinel and it's going to block your attacks into your opponent's attacks into your base. Death Trooper does not have relevancy to me because of what it requires you to do. No more on that subject. I've talked about it at length on the Discord. If you like the card, that's fantastic. I'm not going to say you're a bad player because that would be rude. The art is fantastic. I just think this could have been better, and it's disappointing that it's not. Our next preview comes by way of Holocron Gaming on their YouTube channel, link below. They got to preview a really cool command unit that we're going to take a look at here in just a moment. And the important thing is, at least by my definition, this is the first official named Rebels character that is a unit that's not a vehicle that is presented to us so far in SOR. We have here Agent Kallus. He's a 5-cost command only Agent Kallus seeking the Rebels ground unit. 4 power, 4 health, Imperial Trooper. He has ambush, and when another unique unit is defeated, you may draw a card. Use this ability only once each round. He's rare. He's number 115 out of 252 in SOR. 5 cost is high for a 4/4, but the benefits you get with Kallus are immense. He ambushes right off the bat, so he can clear a 4 power unit or 4 health unit off the board without there being too many issues in terms of retaliation. But his second ability is what's really going to be useful for you when you defeat another unique unit. And read this again: when another unique unit is defeated, not another enemy unique unit is defeated, another unique unit is defeated, you may draw a card. Use this ability only once each round. What this does is that if Kallus can come in and snipe like an R2D2 or a 3PO or something that's already low, that's a unique unit that only has 4 or less health left, you can pop him down, shoot something, and then get a card as a response to it. So even if he dies, you still refresh the card that you used to get him back. This is what is usually considered going even in an exchange, where you spend a card and then you get a card back, and that's how viability of certain card combos is addressed when it comes to how viable an individual card is. Kallus has a lot of gameplay available to him, especially since he's not just villainy. If you want this type of gameplay in your heroism deck, as long as it's got command in it, bing bong boom, there you go, Agent Kallus ready to go. A lot of design space available for him. I think what's going to happen often is he's going to finish off a leader. He's going to finish off a big unit that's unique, that is able to stop you from doing your game plan, or he's going to come down and he's going to chunk out an earlier game unique unit to be able to draw you that card and refresh the thing in your hand. So it's a fantastic card. I think he's really good going forward. Probably not a 3 of in every command deck, but definitely a 2 of. in most command decks, especially Imperial and Trooper. This guy fits right into Tarkin. You flop him down with Ambush, knock something out, and then just start putting your experience tokens on him to keep him alive. That way, every round, if you kill a unique unit, there's a card, there's a card, there's a card. Just fantastic gameplay. Our next preview is actually a surprise drop for me. I didn't think we were going to get anything relevant on Friday, as of recording this video, not obviously as release. I didn't think we were going to get anything, but we got a card that is a really good card. It's a new leader in a combination we haven't seen before, and it's very exciting. And that is Sabine Wren, Galvanized Revolutionary. Apologies about the small card size. I didn't actually make these myself. I just copied it over the Discord. And we have here Aggression Heroism, Sabine Wren, Galvanized Revolutionary. Action, Exhaust, deal 1 damage to each base. Epic action, if you control 4 or more resources, deploy this leader, a 2/5. Mandalorian Rebel Spectre, common, number 14, SOR. The other version, the unit, is Sabine Wren, Galvanized Revolutionary, Aggression Heroism, 4 cost, ground leader units, 2 power, 5 health, Mandalorian Rebel Spectre. On attack, deal 1 damage to each enemy base. Leader side allows Sabine to put early game pressure. Literally, the first turn of the game, you can the first round of the game, you can exhaust her. Deal 1 damage to each base. Now you're both at 29. Or if your opponent deployed a 25 health base, they're at 24 and you're at 29. And every single round, Sabine can put damage pressure onto your opponents to make it so that they have to think about their choices better, make their defensive plays better, and know that realistically they are on a 30-round clock. Obviously, that's huge, and no game is ever going to go to 30 rounds if it does something disastrously wrong has happened, catastrophically wrong. But because she is aggression, you have access to all of the aggression cards that are going to be very good for building this type of deck. And then heroism allows you to run things like the X-Wings and the wing leaders, 3PO and R2-D2, that they want to be attacking anyway, so you can get those benefits off the top of your deck, and you're just smashing into your opponent's cards, right? The other side, though, the leader, I think, has the most interesting design because on attack, deal 1 damage to each enemy base. So first things first, in multiplayer, it'll hit all of your opponents. But if Sabine Wren attacks, she's not dealing damage to your own base. She's out there blasting bases herself because she just chucks those thermal detonators, right? She has low power, low health, but she can be augmented with experience. She can be augmented with upgrades. She can be augmented with other things. If you did go aggression, vigilance, heroism, you could throw entrenched on her. She'd no longer be able to attack bases, but she would at least be able to continue attacking and destroying enemy units on the board while each attack she deals a damage to the enemy base. So the best combo for her realistically, that's the wrong card. The best combo realistically for her is start of round, activate her ability, ping both bases or all bases if it's a multiplayer game. Then on your next action, you can deploy the leader. And then if it survives, the next action, you attack the base for 3 damage total, or attack a 2 health unit to get it off the board, and then still deal a damage to the opponent's base. Sabine Wren is the type of gameplay archetype design that I love in card games. And realistically, what this says to me is go as aggressive as possible. You don't necessarily have to go low to the ground, although this deck definitely benefits from going low to the ground, but just start blasting, right? That's what Sabine Wren wants to do. And outside of Boba Fett, this is probably going to be the second deck that I build to try to be like, okay, how can I just eliminate everybody as quickly as possible? You might run Cunning with this as well, just to get those extra things like Shoot First, Waylay, and even Asteroid Sanctuary to control your opponent's side of the board while you're continuing to throw unit after 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 unit, so on and so forth. So far, the Rebels don't have Heroism doesn't have a really good accessible one cost a basic attacker, but we do have the Alliance X-Wing that can go into space. We have the Wing Leader that can give those experience tokens down. Like I said, we have R2-D2 and 3PO, who are not necessarily aggressive characters, but they can help filter to get you to the aggressive stuff if necessary, and they're still doing damage. Who knows what else we're gonna see. I didn't expect to wake up and get one of my favorite Rebels characters a card. My favorite Rebels character is Chopper, of course, as is everybody's. No, not Kanan Jarrus. Yes, Chopper. I didn't expect one of my favorite characters to have a leader so early, but this is fantastic, and I cannot wait to see what else comes in and synergizes. Honestly, right now, the decks that I'm thinking about are going to be, at least in my mind, the top decks. Boba Fett, some sort of aggressive Boba Fett, and then some sort of aggressive Sabine Wren. Like that's pretty much all you're going to be able to do it. So our next card comes by way of the Command Month previews on FFG's Twitter account, Unlimited FFG, and it's a very interesting card that continues to build upon a strategy that I like a lot. And that card is Hardpoint Heavy Blaster. It is a 2-cost command upgrade. It attaches to a vehicle unit. Attached unit gains on attack. If this unit is not attacking a base, you may deal 2 damage to a unit in the defender's arena. It gives you +2 power and +2 health. It is a modification / weapon. It is an uncommon 121 out of 252 in SOR. There's a lot of upgrades in the game that do not attach to vehicles. This is not one of them. This one specifically will attach to a vehicle, and I like it a lot. You'll notice if you're familiar with designs of vehicles, this is actually one of those AT-ST blasters that goes on the side of their head. You saw those in Return of the Jedi and Book of Boba Fett. Sorry, wrong show. The Mandalorian. I believe it was the first season. There's an interesting design because they can be multiple different things. That's why it shows like cannons, a blaster, and a missile launcher. The idea behind this card is that you effectively see it as a 2-cost +2/+2 with a kicker. And what that means is that at 2 cost, this is a good card to attach to a vehicle to give it more survivability and more power to damage whatever you need it to damage. If you are happening to take out another unit on the board, you can utilize this effect to be able to do an additional 2 damage on to an opponent's unit in the same arena. So if you stick this on a spaceship and you attack with that spaceship in that same round, but you're attacking another unit, you can then damage either the same unit or you can damage another unit that is in the space arena. Or what's more likely going to happen, you stick this on a snow speeder or a AT-AT or an AT-ST, and when it attacks a unit, you get to damage another unit in that same action. So you still get the benefit of getting the +2/+2 while attacking an opponent's base, but you don't get the kicker until you're attacking another unit. And if we see a lot of upgrades that are like this that have that conditional, if you're doing this, you get a bonus, as long as the base card itself is good, these will be very playable. I don't see this being played in a deck that does not focus on vehicles. I don't even think this is going to be a limited card in terms of availability for that. You're likely not going to use this in draft. You're not going to use this in sealed unless somehow you pull bonkers amount of vehicles. But when it comes to actual constructed decks, because it does attach to a vehicle, if you're running a vehicle deck, which could be exclusively space arena, so this might not be as powerful, but if you have a lot of ground vehicles, this could be really good for being able to present extra damage with your vehicles in combat, whether it's just straight up attacking the base for the generic +2/+2 or attacking your opponent's units to be able to get the extra 2 damage to clear another unit, to clear a shield, to finish off a unit, whatever you specifically need it for. And that's all she wrote. Some cool previews, a leader that makes an immediate impact into the game. I honestly think that I might be more hyped for Sabine than I am for Boba Fett, which is crazy because Boba Fett is Boba Fett. Mandalorians, though they're dope. I guess technically Boba Fett's not a Mandalorian. Not the point. The point is fantastic stuff. New leader, great command cards, cool things for Star Wars Unlimited. And there's going to be even more because shortly after the stream at 1 p.m. Central Time Zone, the Booster Pack live stream is going to be happening from FFG. And we're going to find out a lot of information about the Booster Packs themselves. So I encourage you to check out the link below in the description. Make sure you go watch that live stream because it's going to be a very important live stream. Much like the Starter Deck live stream gave us a lot of new and important information, this Booster Pack live stream is going to give us a lot of important information about Star Wars Unlimited coming in 2024. That's it. That's all that I have for you today. I think, right? No, that's not all I have for you today. Watch this space. 12 p.m. Central Time Zone, Friday, September 22nd, my friend's birthday. You're not going to be disappointed. That is all she wrote for me today. So thank you very much for joining me. Do all the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe on the video. Do the different YouTube things. It's all the same stuff, guys. I can't think of any other way to say it, and I'm going to say it differently every single time. So help a brother out. We will see you all in the next video. We'll see you all in the Booster Pack stream. We'll see you all on Friday. And with that, I will see you all in the stars.